I built 7 Shadowverse Evolve decks with the release of their newest set, Reign of Bahamut, and today we're going to showcase all 7 of those decks and kind of quickly go through it so you can get an idea of what kind of decks are out there in this current set 2 meta. We're not going to go really deep into each of these decks, just kind of like a quick showcase, and we're not going to just show you like a spreadsheet like a lot of other folks do. No, I actually built these decks. I've been playing with them. They're all a ton of fun, so I'm going to show you the actual physical versions of the decks that I have been playing with. And you know what? Maybe at the end, let me know in the comments down below which of these decks you would like to see both gameplay of and a fully fledged, I was gonna say full-born, that doesn't make any sense, a fully fledged deck tech for. Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, you know what? Subscribe and all that kind of stuff too. Let's just do it. Let's see the decks. All right, so here are all 7 of the decks, 3 in each of these, and obviously the one in here. But before we do that, I do want to just kind of give a little shout out to us, our online store, the Red Zone Rogue online store. You can pick up anime style playmats like this, made by my favorite anime artists. None of it is AI generated or anything like that. I commissioned my favorite artist. This one is done by none other than Han Chu, a great friend and artist. We have a bunch of Han Chu pieces on there if you like this kind of style, but we have other ones as well. Or you know what, you could join my Patreon where we give out exclusive Red Zone Rogue cards every single month. This month is a ghost or spirit token. It's a 1/1 ghost or spirit token that you can use in any card game that could use the ghost or spirit token, like Shadowverse Evolve or other games like Magic the Gathering. And we do a different one every single month. All right, first up is Aggro Abysscraft. Aggro Abyss does generate a decent amount of tokens, so make sure you have them. This deck is just all about burn and aggressively costed dudes. We have burn like Razor Claw and Demonic Strike that can go straight to our opponent's face. We have card draw like Dire Bond and Soul Conversion to make sure our hands are full. And then our deck is just chock full of efficient dudes that either make dudes, deal damage to our opponent's face, clear the way to deal some damage, or we have some more like characters, followers that clear things out. We're going to see Erd a lot, or some top-end threats that either help us go wide or just clear the board for more damage. For the Evo deck, it's pretty standard. We're running like 2 Vite, 2 of the Playful Necro, a single Erd, 3 Cerberus, and 2 Soul Dealer. This deck is also very inexpensive to make outside of the Cerberus and the Soul Dealer. These are like the only cards that are expensive in the deck, and you can kind of substitute them if you would like. Every other card in the deck is very you know, inexpensive to get your hands on. So that is Aggro Abyss. Very fast, very fun, very good. Next up, we have Midrange Control Abyss. This is, I don't know, I want to say a little bit more mid-range than Control, but still really fun. The version that we're playing also uses a bunch of tokens, so make sure you have your tokens. Our leader here is a fancy Urias Formond. I do want to take special note to our Evo deck because we're running a lot of one-ofs in our Evo deck. So this deck is more of like it's got like a toolbox feel with the Evo deck, and we're running Reyna to maximize on that because she helps turn them all back face down so we can use them again. And we're playing some pretty powerful ones like Azazel here, as well as stuff like Bahamut. Yes, we're actually running Bahamut. And we also have our Crazed Executioner that is very important. Because we're running more of a mid-range deck and we intend to go to the late game, we can play stuff like Death's Breath to get some reanimation effects. We're going to see Execution a lot because this is just great at destroying amulets, also followers, but specifically amulets. We also have, you know, a bunch of good removal. You'll see Surefire Bullet a lot in Shadowverse Evolve moving forward. We always run some Soul Conversions for draw. Here's that Bahamut, and also Dark Angel Olivia. Because this is a little bit of a slower deck, we can afford to run something like a 5-drop. But yeah, all of our cards are pretty efficient. They help us remove threats. We have some low drops that either heal us or draw us some cards. Azazel is great at forcing our opponent to discard stuff. It's also a great reanimation target with Death's Breath. Also, he can take your opponent's life down to 10 if you evolve him, which is really, really sweet. Alucard closes games. Since our deck's a lot slower, we can run Medusa and get advantage out of that. Kawi's great for slowing down the game. Basically, he just wards up, and when he dies, he kills something from your opponent's side of the field and also heals you, which is great. Here's a Soul Dealer and Cerberus again, and then we have Crazed Executioner, great at forcing our opponents to discard stuff. And Lilith is another one of the low drops that kind of just helps us heal. So yeah, this is Midrange Abyss. A little bit different than your normal Abyss, but it's still pretty fun. You have a lot more controlling options, ways to control the board, ways to control your opponent's hand. Next up, we have Havencraft with one of the scariest decks in the entire format if it is played correctly. Our leader here is Eris. This is our Seraph deck, or more importantly, our Heavenly Aegis deck. This is a control deck that basically focuses on using Instatuated Seraph and then Heavenly Aegis in combination with Guardian Sun, or maybe another Heavenly Aegis, depending on how it works. Basically, you play your Seraph. It can't be destroyed by abilities, though it can still be destroyed by effects. At the start of your turn, or at the start of your end phase, I should say, so at the end of your turn, you get a prayer counter on this. And then when it has 4 prayer counters on it, put in your cemetery, you heal for 10, and then you search your deck for 2 cards, put them into your EX area, and they cost 0. So you go search for either Heavenly Aegis and Guardian Sun, or maybe even 2 Heavenly Aegises, or some combination of these, or maybe even like depending on the situation. I can see some situations where you grab like a Decree or something, but most of the time you're gonna grab Guardian Sun and Aegis. And so what Aegis is, he's an 8/8. He can evo for 2, or you can evo for discarding 3 cards. He has aura, which means he can't be targeted. And he also says this card can't be destroyed by abilities. It can still be destroyed by damage. However, when you evolve him, it becomes a 10/10, still with aura. And then on evolve for the rest of this turn, and during each opponent's turn, this follower doesn't take damage. And it can also can't be destroyed by abilities. So yeah, Aegis, kind of a big deal. And what you do to lock it down is you play your Guardian Sun as well and give Aegis Ward. So now you have a 10/10 that can't be targeted, can't be damaged, or can't be destroyed by abilities for 1 turn with Ward. So you just kind of like shore it up, make sure your opponent can't hurt you outside of like direct damage spells like we saw with the Aggro Blood, and then you just smash them for 10. Yeah, it's a 10/10. There are some situations where you might not need Ward, so you just grab 2 Aegis and then you just kill them because they're huge. So yeah, that's basically how this deck works. My version's a little bit of a hybrid deck because I run Kaguya, who synergizes well with amulets. She lets us play an amulet for free when we play her, and she also deals damage to stuff when we play amulets. Prism Princess is a card that lets us go tutor up our Seraph or other amulets. We're running Bell Ringers because you're going to see that a lot. Any deck that's a little slow, you run the Bell Ringers. And the deck is packed with a bunch of removal, like Cudgel, Jeanne d'Arc, various amulets that either let us kill things or let us draw. I like Dark Offering in this deck because you can use it on your Bell Ringers to draw extra cards and get some healing. But yeah, that's basically how this deck works. Ton of removal, a ton of board control, and then we just kind of finish the game with our Seraph Aegis Wombo combo. It's a very strong deck. The only I guess I should mention the Evo cards. It's just like Aegis and pretty standard stuff. Aegis, Jeanne d'Arc, Cudgel, Prism Princess, and then Kaguya. And then the only tokens you need are the Kaguya. So yeah, fun deck. Very, very difficult to pilot, but very, very strong. One of the best control decks in the entire game, and it remains a very, very strong strategy for a while. All right, let's talk about Dragon. This is my hybrid Dragon ramp discard deck. So these are the only tokens we need. We just need the Hellflame Dragons. And here's the deck. So this deck basically is more or less like a ramp dragon deck. We have, your fortes. We have some nice Evo removal in Urds, Siegfried, and the Dragon Warrior. We also have our Shenlongs because it's a big deal. And then, of course, our Bellringer Angels. I haven't been showing these off, but I love accessorizing the decks and the sleeves. But yeah, so obviously, run Forte. We have the Bellringer Angels. I mean, you're going to see Bellringers a lot, so I hope you got your Bellringer playset. This deck, I got to run a full playset of Olivia. Hell yeah. One of my favorite cards. and just being able to ramp into her is great. We're running a ramp package of Alia, and we're also running the Dragon Oracle as well, because we want to ramp and get to those big numbers. Here's some of those removal, like I said, like the onboard removal, which is great. We have a big old package of that. Shenlong is great because, hey, does everything. Draw some cards, discard some cards, heals us. What's really great is we do have a couple discard synergies, but we don't have a ton of discard effects in the deck because, like I said, this is more of a hybrid version of the deck. But Shenlong is a great way to do it. Fafnir is a great board clear, and Genesis is a great finisher. We are running 3 of the new Dragon Song Flutes. This is one of the cards that cares about discarding, either it being discarded, or you can do various other things like discard a card, put a Hellflame Dragon into your EX area, and only use this if you've activated or if Overflow is active for you. So you can just keep pumping out some Hellflame Dragons. So having both of these amulets on the field is a great way to just Hellflame Dragon every single turn by discarding a card, and then you get some benefit out of the Dracomancer's Rights, which says fanfare, discard a card, give your leader +1 health. But then at the start of your end phase, if you discarded a card this turn, select an enemy leader or follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. So just 2 damage every single turn. So if you can get this rolling, you can just start pumping out damage, pumping out your Hellflame Dragons. And then to round it all out, we have some removal for Blazing Breath. Once again, Surefire Bullet, you'll see this a lot more. And then the ramp. So yeah, pretty fun deck. It's like a hybrid of the discard strategy, but also you have all of the fun, big splashiness of Ramp Dragon. Next up, we have my favorite deck of the bunch. This is Swordcraft. And Sword was very, very good in set 1, and Sword is very, very good in set 2 with this card in particular. This is a card that is summoned by Leonidas called Leonidas' Resolve. And it says, whenever a Swordcraft follower is put in your field, give it +3/+3 and rush. Permanently. Very, very good card. You also need a nice little suite of tokens in this deck. What I really like about this deck is basically it has like this toolbox ability, so you can go tutor up for whatever you need when the time comes. We're rocking a lovely Prim there. For the Evo deck, we have our tutor package, which is just super good. Let us go search for things. Bellringer Angel. Our deck's a little bit slower than Aggro Sword, so we have Bellringers in our deck, but we're still running great Evo cards like Floral Fencer, as well as our one of Sweet Sea Queen Otohime. Avant Blader makes it in there because it's another little tutor card. And then we have some of our big finishers. Albert is a great way to just smash your opponent's face for a ton of damage. And then we have our Leonidas, which is one of the most important cards in the deck, because when you evolve into Leonidas, you get to pick an enemy fall on the field, deal 5 damage, and then he takes 5 damage. And then when he dies, you summon that token for free. That just gives all your dudes +3/+3 and rush when you play him, which is pretty good. So yeah, that is our Swordcraft. Once again, gonna show off the sleeves. All right, the deck itself is pretty simple. We just have cards like Maid Leader that help us with the tutoring. Swordsman is a great way to rest enemy followers or engage enemy followers, so we can either kill them with various effects or various attackers, or more importantly, so we can kill our own Leonidas, so we can get our Leonidas' Resolve. So what you do is you evolve your Leonidas, deal 5 damage or something. He'll take 5, so he'll have 2 health remaining, and then you activate your Swordsman to engage one of your enemy's things, so you can run Leonidas into it. So yeah, we're running 3 Swordsmen. Also, he's just a 2/1 for 2, which is pretty good. Once again, we're running Bellringers because this version of the deck is a little bit slower. We do have a bunch of like 1-drops though. So we're still running our Quick Bladers. We're still running our Novice Troopers and our Floral Fencers. A new card to the deck that I really like is White Paladin, which is a 3/4 ward for 3, and you can pay 2 and engage her to summon 2 Shield Guardians. And the Shield Guardians are just 1/1s with ward. But yeah, they're pretty good. They gum up the board, and if you have the Resolve out, hey, they're 4/4s with ward. So I'm running 3 of those. Great little 3-drop here. We have Gemstaff Commander, great little toolbox card to go tutor up anything we want. Same with the Avant Bladers. We have a lot of tutor effects. In this deck. We're running 2 Alberts. Once again, pretty good for finishing out the game. 1 Sea Queen Otohime. This is just kind of our one Sea Queen that we can go tutor up with a bunch of different things, and she's just really good at gumming up the board. Amelia is one of my favorite cards, just in general. Great new card. She is a 3/3 for 4 that when she enters the field, you either get to play a dude from your hand for free, 3 point play points or less, or you get to just choose something and deal it 4 damage, which is really good. And then we have our top end here. We're running a full set of Aurelia's, just really, really good defensive card, and she's good at killing stuff too. We have Alexander, which is kind of insane. He's a 6-drop Rush Assail. He's a 5/9, and during your turn, whenever this follower deals combat damage, refresh it. He is so good at killing your opponent's dudes and your opponent's face. And then finally we have our 2 Leonidas, which we can go tutor up for just, with any of our dudes. And then of course we want to evolve them to get our Resolve. And that's the deck. I love this deck. There's so many options, so many things you can do. You have all the tutor effects. Big fan of Sword. Yeah, love this deck quite a bit. This is my favorite deck to play currently. Speaking of which, we have Runecraft. So my version of Runecraft for set 2 currently is a little different than set 1. I'm actually running Dirt Rune, or you can call it like Earth or whatever. I like calling it Dirt. So you'll need a stack of the Guard Form Golems, a Strike Form, and then some Magic Sediment. I do like the one with the no reminder, but yeah. So this is basically Dirt Rune. We're using basically we're stacking up a bunch of cards that have stack. So we're basically stacking a bunch of cards and then cracking them to have great effects, either through cards like Juno's Secret Laboratory, or one of the new big legendaries here, Sun Oracle Pascal. And of course you still have your Erasmus from set 1 that can just do a lot. This is a deck that I really want to play more of. I really like some of the Evo followers, like the Ancient Alchemist, which is just great at just putting a bunch of dudes like golems on the field. And then we are also still running our Demon Flame Mage, great at sweeping the board, as well as our Merlins, who tutor us some spells and let us play spells from our bin, which is just really good. This is one of the more expensive decks to make because we are running a full playset of the Merlins as well as Bellringer Angels. We're running 2 of Bellringer in this deck, and then we have our Pascal and Erasmus. Yeah, I think this deck is a lot of fun. Basically, it's a deck that just is great at, it's like a mid-rangey style deck. Great at just like pumping the board with these just really annoying, really annoying golems. And I recommend trying it if you are used to playing like your D-shift style decks. There's a lot of removal. Because of the Merlins, we have this tutor ability, so we can kind of like toolbox for whatever card we need. We can, search for cards that generate golem, search for like removal spells or cards that can go to our opponent's face. So yeah, that is the Dirt Rune deck. And the last deck we're going to talk about today is my Forestcraft deck. Out of all of the decks that I've featured today, this deck, the Runecraft and the Haven are the ones that are most likely to get full deck text because I haven't done those crafts yet, but we'll see what you want to see. We have, as you would guess for any Forestcraft deck, we have a nice little stack of tokens. It's kind of like your standard tokens from set 1, except we also have Crystallia Eve. This deck is very similar to what you would see from set 1. We have our lovely new leader there. For our Evo deck, we're not running Roach in this version. It's still like combo Forest, but we're not running Roach. This is a very like combo style deck. It can be aggro a little bit, but it leans more to our combo. So we run 2 Crystallia Eve. It's just really great at summoning our Eve here. Tia. We have Tias. And a lot of the cards in here are just good at removing things, good at getting like Fairy Wisp tokens, or just being a big old house. Lily is one of the best cards in the deck in my opinion. Just really good at messing with our opponent's stuff. You can select an enemy fall on their field and put it on the bottom of their deck, so it gets around like can't be destroyed type effects, and your standard like generate some fairy stuff. Here's the sleeves in case you didn't notice. I know I realize I didn't show all the sleeves off now. So yeah, this is like you've probably seen a deck very similar to this for set 1. You have your stuff like May, you have your Water Fairy, your Archers. These are all cards that you basically play, deal some damage, maybe bounce them back to your hand, deal some damage, play them again. Tia is like one of the big new inclusions here, where she's a 1/1 and combo. You want to play with combo, you get to summon your Crystallia Eve. So combo 3, you get your Eve. which is pretty good. Lily's just really, really great removal here. We're still running our Ancient Elves. We have the Rose Gardeners for removal. We have the Princesses. And then we also have our big combo. We have Arya and Rose Queen. And this is the big combo that you want to do. Just have a bunch of fairies in your EX area, and then basically turn them all into the Thorn Burst, and just burst your opponent out. So make sure you get your 5 Thorn Bursts, and just burst your opponent out with the Thorn Burst combo. Other than that, we just have more things that just like, hey, you know, return a card to our hand, so we can do some shenanigans, make some fairies. Like I said, Executions ran in a lot of decks because it's just really good at destroying amulets. We have a nice little finisher with the Silverbolt here, and some more like, you know, fairy shenanigans. Kind of a fun deck. If you like more of an aggro combo style, I think it's worth a shot. I think Forest right now isn't one of the best decks. It's still like pretty good. I think all of these decks are actually viable, but I know Forest gets much, much better later on in Shadowverse Evolve. And yeah, those are all 7 of the decks. Please let me know which of these decks you would like to see a full deck tech with, and gameplay. Just let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. Get that in focus. Or check out the online store. And we'll see you next time.